All right, you're doing a great job, and guess what? Those are my primary approaches to harmonizing a jazz ballad. You have your three of my top choices, block chords sounding really beautiful, drop two voicings, and then your fourth voicings. Now, there's one more approach that I'm going to teach in this lesson when it comes to performing in an ensemble, which you can use the other three methods in an ensemble. And this is a little bit simpler. This is just a single note melody on the top, and this is your chords in the left hand. And these are what we call comping. Comping in the left hand is when you're playing these nice clustery chords, and it just kind of supports the melody on the top. They're very jazzy sounding, and these are stock chords. You can use these across the board for any jazz standard, but these are the stock left-hand voicings. I call them comp voicings because they complement the melody. Okay, so this is what this section is going to sound like, and this sounds really good with a bass player. These chords are rootless chords, but when we add the root, it sounds really nice. So here it is, left-hand comp voicings. Okay, so really neat sound. It's a different sound. It's very simple right hand melody, simple chords, but it's lacking something. It's lacking the root, the bass note. And this particular approach to playing is a great way to approach playing in a trio setting or a quartet setting, but you really want to have a bass player because those left-hand chords really lock in. So this is what it would sound like with a bass player. So very lush, very rich. And again, that's emulating, that's pretending like I'm an upright bass player, but get together with one of your friends, or you can even synthesize a bass track on your computer, and it sounds really nice together. So what we're doing here in the left hand is we're hitting some of the really sweet degrees of each chord. So your first chord is going to be your E flat 6, 9, and here I have 3, 5, 6, and 9. Okay? And as you notice, middle C is kind of right here in the middle of the chord. When you're doing this approach to playing, you want these chords to be right in the center of the keyboard. That's way too muddy and too low. That's way too high, and it sounds like the melody. So generally speaking, I don't like going below this D. Definitely this C is getting very low, but I try to stay above the E and then maybe, you know, lower than this G. So you kind of have this little 10th range that sounds really ideal. These are not hard set rules, but if you get out of this range here, it starts to sound either too muddy or too close to the melody. So E flat 6, 9 is our first chord. C minor 9 is our second chord. This is 7, 9, 3, and 5, our stock comp voicing in the left hand. G minor 9. Okay, very clustery chord here. We've got 7, 9, 3, and 5. B flat 13. Check this one out. Okay, this has got the 7 on the bottom, the 9, the 3, and the 13. So A flat, D, C, D, and your G natural. This is our E flat 13 chord. This is a dominant chord. So we've got our 3, 13, 7, and 9. Remember, that's a lowered 7th because it's a dominant. A flat 6, 9. We've got the 6 on the bottom, the F, B, which is 9, C is 3, E flat is 5. Sounds really nice, right in the middle here. We're going to go to an A minor 7, flat 5, D7 to a G minor 9. And this sounds really jazzy and really cool because it's a 2-5-1 progression getting you to your G minor chord. Now, we didn't do this earlier. This is something unique in jazz. Anytime you have a landing point, whether it's a minor chord or major chord, oftentimes you can do 2, 5, 1 to get you into that chord. And it really depends on the melody, it depends on the context and the song, but oftentimes you can add these extra harmonies and it has a really cool effect. And this is one place that you can do this, is we have a landing point of a G minor, right? And so we can use the 2 of G minor, which is A, and if you harmonize it using the G minor scale, and that's natural minor, you get this A minor 7 flat 5. And then, of course, the 5 chord of G is a D7, but we do this very hip D7 with a flat 13 and a sharp 9, and then we land on a G minor 9. Okay, so that's kind of the theory behind this. Don't want you to get too overwhelmed with the theory, but just understand that's kind of what we're doing. We're doing a 2, 5, 1, getting into our G minor. So A minor 7 flat 5 is the name of this chord. We've got G, A, C, and E flat, 7, 1, 3, and flat 5. D7 with a flat 13 and a sharp 9. 3, flat 13, 7, sharp 9. It's F sharp, B flat, C, and F. You get that crunch there too, sounds really cool. G minor 9, we've got 7, 9, 3, and 5. That's F, A, B flat, and D. B flat minor 7, this is going to get you to our A flat major chord, and we're going to do a 2-5 progression. And that's going to be B flat minor 7, which is the 2 of A flat, and the chord has a 7, 9, 3, and 5. Remember, it's a minor chord, so we're lowering the 7th, we're lowering the 3rd, and there's a 5th of B flat. E flat 7 is here. We've got 3, 13, 7, and 9. Okay, remember our E flat dominant. Here's our dominant 7th there. A flat 6, 9 is our landing point. We have 6, 9, 3, 5. Now we're going to do a little A flat minor 7. This one's a little bit harder to see if you're not as familiar with flat keys, but we've got 7, 9, 3, 5. If you're confused and you go, hey, I don't know, I can't identify these degrees, go your A flat scale. That's your major scale, okay? And you got 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, 13. And so you can identify your lowered 7th, your 9, which is the same as 2, your minor 3rd, your lowered 3rd, which is B natural, and your E flat. A flat minor 7. Let's keep going here. D flat 7. We've got the 3rd, 13, 7, and 9 of D flat. Next chord is E flat major 7, or E flat 6, 9. We've got 3, 5, 6, 9. Next chord is A flat 13. Okay, very cool sound here. This is our lowered 7th, G flat, 9, 3, 13. And we're going to do a series of dominant chords. So this is a really sweet sound. These chords really move. G7, or actually G13. So G dominant 7 with a 13. We got 7, 9, 3, 13. And then this super hip C7 sharp 9. Now, by the way, these don't have roots, so it's kind of hard to hear the harmony and how these chords interact with one another without the bass note. But in a second, I'm going to show you what that sounds like. So C7, 3, flat 13, 7, sharp 9. Really cool combination, very jazzy. Okay, F13, we're almost to the end. 7, 9, 3, 13. We're going to jump up here for our F minor 9. And by the way, most of these chords are straight from the lead sheet. I didn't invent these chords. I didn't make them up. These are stock chords. Okay, so we're adding a few things to them, but for the most part, I'm just going off of the chords from the book. So F minor 9, 3, 5, 7, 9. B flat 13, you have that little resolution there, or we have A flat, C, D, and G, or 7, 9, 3, and 5. One other thing to note, and I haven't explained this yet, but anytime, most of the time when you have a 2-5-1 relationship, or like a minor chord going to a dominant chord, and it's that 2-5 relationship, oftentimes, in fact most of the time, you only have one note moving. In this case, it's E flat to D. Okay? So that's one way that helps you kind of move between these chords is sometimes they're just one note off. So F minor 9, B flat 13, and then E flat 6 9, 3 5 6 9, and that's your landing point. So before you put the hands together, I want you to just learn all these chords, go through every chord I just taught you, and start playing them back to back. And what I find to be helpful is to play the roots, but you don't want to play the roots with your left hand. You want to keep these chords in your left hand. And so what I'll do is just cross over here. So you can just play it like this, go down to your C minor. You see that? And any notes down here in the bass will work. You don't want to get too high. I probably wouldn't get any higher than, I'd say, maybe this C here. Okay, otherwise it starts sounding like you're playing it with the chord. And you want, a real bass can actually go, way, way down to like an E toward the bottom. But essentially, you can, find these notes down here. C below it sounds really nice. Okay, G minor sounds really cool down here. Really resonates. B flat minor, or B flat 13. Try your E flat 13, A flat 6 9. Great. Now here's our A minor 7, D7, G minor. Sounding good. Let's keep going. B flat minor, E flat 13, A flat 6 9, A flat minor 7, D flat 7. Okay. Here's our next few chords here. E flat 6 9, A flat, G, and then our awesome C7, that sharp 9 flat 13. Okay, there's our F, and then F minor, E flat 13, E flat 6 9. And this is really helpful so you can kind of hear it. You can kind of say, oh, okay, I hear these harmonies come together because that rich bass note. And again, these are rootless voicings. Most of these chords do not have the root in them. And that's what makes them so unique, and that's what makes them so jazzy and sort of clustery, is because you're playing all these extensions, and then you're letting the bass cover the low end. All right, let's go and put the hands together. You're doing a great job. You got the melody in the right hand. We learned these left hand comp voicings. Let's put it together slowly, okay? Here it is. I'll count you off. 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. G minor, B flat 13, E flat 13. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. Flat, flat. 2. All right, and that's the A section of Somewhere Over the Rainbow. You now have 4 really cool styles to play with an ensemble. Find a bass player and have a lot of fun. Great approaches. All right, let's go ahead and play these left-hand comp voicings with the backing track. All right, here we go. 3, 4. Awesome job. One other thing that you can do with this, particularly this last thing that we just did, is accompany a singer. This actually forms a really nice basis, a really nice support for a soloist. So it could be a singer, it could be a trumpet player, it could be a saxophone player. But if you play those chords, those comp chords in your right hand, and then the roots in the left hand, you get a really nice support there. So you can just 2, 3, 4. Kind of just lay down a little support for the performer. And then if you're like, hey, I want to have a little bit of fun with this, you can change up the left hand pattern, or make the right hand maybe play quarter notes instead of just holding the beat. So you could do something like this. little bit of fun with this, but you can kind of find those cool, groovy notes in the left hand and play some different patterns. That's an entirely different lesson there in terms of creating bass lines. A lot of fun to do, but that'll be a different lesson there. But have some fun with it. I'll tell you this much. The way to form bass lines, at least for starters, is think about the degrees of the chord. So usually 1, 3, and 5 are strong notes in the chord, so you can use those notes when you're forming bass lines. So you could do something like. So I'm kind of going to the root to the fifth. And then lastly, you can just maybe play quarter notes if you want. Kind of has more of a pop sound to it. And that also kind of moves the singer along. So a lot of cool effects there, but just wanted to throw that out there. Really nice for accompanying another performer. Let's move on now. We're going to have a little bit of fun now, and we're going to do some reharmonization. Okay, so we're going to do two really cool things with this. We're going to reharmonize it in two different ways. Reharmonization is when we take the melody, keep it the same, obviously, it's the same melody, but we change all the chords around. You find other chords that work. So we're going to do two things. The first one is a chromatic reharmonization. This is a lot of fun to play because what I did is I took the bass line and I went chromatically down, starting from E flat, and formed chords using those notes with the melody on the top. So let me show you what I'm talking about, and then I'll explain kind of harmonically what's going on. So this is chromatic reharmonization. So this is just kind of fun. You may not want to perform this if you were performing with a singer, but this is kind of cool to, show off to your friends and say, hey, check this out. And you got this little bass line that's just walking down chromatically. Chromatic means going down every single note. So just basically the next note down. What I'm doing here is harmonizing these chords, finding certain notes that will harmonize well and then forming a chord with that. So I'll talk you through this section, explain the chords that I'm doing, but there's no real formula to this. When it comes to reharmonizing, you have to have a pretty thorough understanding of chords, and you kind of have to know what works and what doesn't work. But a lot of it is your ear, just relying on your ear. So I just arranged this. There's no real method behind it, but these chords harmonically work, and I'll be explaining that in a minute. Okay, so we're going to start with this E flat, doubling the E flats, okay? And what you're going to do first is hop up to this E flat above middle C, and you're going for that C natural. So we're starting off instantly with a chromatic walk down to C middle C, and that C is going to come with the top E flat of the melody. Okay, so here's what we have. Okay, and the fingering is going to go 1, and then I'd actually jump up to 2, 1, 2, 1. Okay. Now this is an F7 over C. It's like a dominant 2 chord of E flat. So E flat is the tonal center. It's the key we're in. So F7 would be like a 2 chord. So I'm going, landing on that 2 chord, and we've got the 5th, 1, 3, and 7. Then we have this nice little harmonic movement underneath. E flat stays there. This becomes an A flat minor 6 over a B natural. Technically, it's a C flat, but just know it's B, F, A flat, E flat. That's 3, 6, 1, and 5. Next chord is an E flat major 7. We've got 5, 1, 3, and your major 7. And check that out. What is this? You should know this. What technique is this? This is drop 2, right? E flat major 7 has a B flat in it. I dropped it out, put it on the bottom, right? So there's a little test for you. Okay, I'm testing you. Watch out. You better be ready. You never know what I'll throw at you. All right, just having fun here. Okay, so look out for those drop 2s. Okay. And actually that's a drop 2 as well. If you noticed, an F7 has a C in it, and I dropped that down here as well. So drop 2s are great. I love using them when I arrange. Little harmonic movement. These are an E flat over a B flat. Okay, so our left hand's going to go down to A flat or A natural by itself, going along that chromaticism. Here's our next target. A flat goes with a C, G flat, and B flat. This is an A flat 9 chord. So this is root 3, 7, 9. C's by itself. This is a G minor 7, fairly simple chord. There's not a lot here. We have root, 7, 3, and 5. G flat diminished. This is a G flat, and so there's the root. You got the E flat here. This is a double flat 7th. Don't worry about that for now. Just know that's what it is. We have the minor third, the A, and then we're doubling that E flat on top. Okay, so we have, let's go and play this measure. Doing a great job. We're going to move on to measure 3 of this section. Okay, so we're going to land here on an F minor 7 sus4. Okay, notes here are F, B flat, C, and E flat. 1, 4, 5, and 7. And this 4 is going to resolve down to the minor third. Okay, it's a nice movement there. Next chord is an F minor 11. Same chord, okay, just a different voicing of this chord, okay? So we've got root, 4, or 11, 7, 3, and 5. Okay, so in this case, it's functioning as an F minor 11. Okay, and then we're going to do this neat little thing where our thumbs are the bottom of our hands move down. And this forms a new chord. This is an E7 with a flat 5 and a flat 13, okay? You see that? E, B flat, D, G sharp, and C, okay? And that's 1, sharp 11, 7, 3, and flat 13, okay? But that's coming from our F minor 11, bottom notes move down, and then we're going to land on an E flat major 7, okay? And this is going to be E flat, B flat, D, G, and B flat, 1, 5, 7, 3, 5. Then we're going to do this nice little movement and then land here on this E flat dominant chord over D flat, okay? What we're doing here is harmonizing in tenths this bass line. So we have E flat and G, which is a 10th interval, D and F, which is a minor 10th interval, and then we're going to land here on this E flat 7 with the 7 on the bottom. So we have 7, 3, 5, and 1. And that 7 really wants to go down to that C, okay? And this is what dominant chords do. Dominant chords move harmonically, they lead, okay? So E flat 7 leads to an A flat 7. It's a 5-1 relationship. E flat leads to A flat. So that's kind of harmonically what we're doing, is landing on this E flat 7 takes us to a nice A flat. In this case, we're going to be hitting an A flat 2. Okay, so fairly simple chord. We've got the third actually on the outside, so pinky and thumb, and then we've got the 2 here, which is a really nice effect because the 2 really stands out. That little movement in the middle. So B flat to A flat. Okay, next chord is beautiful. A lot of tension, a lot of angst in this chord. We used it earlier. One of my favorite chords. It's a minor 6-9 chord over the third, okay? So it's an A flat minor 6-9 over C flat, or B natural, which is the third. Okay, so this is 3, 6, 9, 5, and 1. This B flat's going to resolve to an A flat, okay? Let's go and do this measure together. Okay, and then a really gorgeous resolution. E flat over B flat. This is our 1 chord. We're in the key of E flat. We're basically doubling everything here. We've got 5 and 3, 5 and 3. Okay. A flat's in the clear. We're doing that chromatic walk down. Landing on an A flat 9. This is an A flat, G flat, B flat, C, and E flat. Root 7, 9, 3, 5. F's by itself. G13 is the chord, G dominant 13, so root 7, 3rd, 13, and 1. Next chord is a G flat 13, root 7, 3rd, 13, and 9. A little bit harder to see, but if you know the key of G flat, you should know this is a lowered 7th, there's the 3rd, there's the 13 or 6 of the scale, and then there's your 9 or 2 of the scale. F13, not too hard to see. Root 7th, it's a dominant chord. 3, 9, 1. I'm sorry, that's not a 9, that's a 13. 1, 7, 3, 13, 1. That's going to be in the clear. That's the melody. D, E flat. Go ahead and play that F again on the bottom. You got A flat, C, E flat, and F. That's an F minor 7. Strike that together. E flat or E natural, so E7. You got E, G sharp, D, and G natural. This is an E dominant 7, 3, 7, and there's your cool sharp 9 up there. That makes it really sound cool. And then of course we land on an E flat 6. And I love rolling the last chord. It kind of just, it not only lands harmonically, but by rolling it, it kind of says, and there's the end. Really nice. You can roll just the top, and then just strike the 2 notes on the bottom, or you can roll the whole thing. Okay, but this is essentially an E flat 6, root 5th on the bottom, 3, 5, 6, 9. Root 5th is really nice because it's just solid. It's just a nice platform for anything to sit on. So that's going to be your chromatic reharmonization. That's all of the notes, that's all of the chords. Let's go ahead and play it slowly here, okay? Don't move to this point until you have all the notes in your hands, okay? Here it is from the top. We'll go really slowly. 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 4. Great job. Well done. That's a lot of fun to play, and you can really impress your friends. Say, check this out. Check out these cool chords.